The bodies from the weekend's asylum seeker tragedy off Indonesia are still being gathered. Many will never be found. And while the grim search continues, Australia's politicians are locked in a standoff over how to ensure it doesn't happen again. Both sides are convinced the answer is offshore processing. But despite government pleas, so far the opposition is refusing to negotiate until it has an offer in writing. Today it got one. For the latest, we're joined by Hayden Cooper in Canberra. So Hayden, what is the government's offer?
Well, it's to make the quite remarkable move of agreeing to a policy that it has always condemned, always despised and always dismissed, and that is to reopen a detention centre in Nauru. It's a fair reflection of the level of desperation within the government to get a deal done once and for all and to re-establish offshore processing. Now, there are, of course, conditions. The government says that the opposition must also support the Malaysia agreement and a processing centre in Papua New Guinea. The Immigration Minister, Chris Bowen, made this announcement late this afternoon, and in doing so, once again, he called on the opposition to cooperate.
We do this for one simple reason, in the spirit of compromise. The Liberal Party say they have concerns about Malaysia. We have concerns about Nauru. But the time for yelling at each other about this issue has stopped. The time to work together has well and truly passed. We don't want to see more people risking their lives to get to Australia. The Labor Party and the Liberal Party should come together and say there is nothing humanitarian about a system which says to people, you have to risk your life on a boat to get to Australia if you want a chance of a new life in Australia.
Hayden, the ball's now in the Coalition's court. Do you think there'll be talks?
Well, at the very least, you would expect a meeting perhaps at ministerial level, but that's no guarantee of an agreement. Now, Tony Abbott has always maintained that if you have Nauru, you don't need Malaysia. And in this offer, there is no mention of temporary protection visas, which is another demand that he is making. He's been taking all the running on this story in the last day. Scott Morrison, to an extent, has moved into the background, and Mr Abbott has been taking a hard line. Now, he will come under a fair degree of pressure from within his party to give a little bit of ground, especially now that the government has. But let's face it, Chris, compromise isn't exactly a character trait for which Tony Abbott is well known.
Hayden Cooper, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.